we're back. This is John.
And it's Eric.
This is What If Geeks, you fuckers. This is the 1st of October. I love this fucking month. It's my favorite month. It is. It's Halloween. End of the month is Halloween. I've said it before. I'll say it again. You go to the door. They give you candy. It doesn't work any other time of the year. I keep trying. My neighbors keep calling the cops. It's not fun. So get ready to go trick-or-treating. And we've been doing nothing but Halloween episodes for the last couple of weeks. We've been having a blast with them. This is going to be our Geekly Weekly. So we'll drop this one in amongst this. Maybe by Friday we'll have this one dropped at some point. But just kind of talking about some of the stuff, like the news and shit that we, Eric and I have noticed within our geekosphere that had not always Halloween centric now, but just shit that we wanted to talk about and kind of because it's like it's in the now. First and foremost, Paul's not fucking here. This is literally the 7th fucking episode we've cut without Paul, and it's literally only been like a week and a half.
Yeah.
Poor bastard was out of town last week, and we recorded the Zombies.
4 episodes of
Zombies, and then now he's out this one, and tonight we record 3 fucking episodes. So I would say on the one hand we're getting better at pacing out our episodes, but on the flip side of that, like we said last week, if Paul had been there last week, we would have been there forever. Mm-hmm. We would have been there when I had to go to work Wednesday.
It would have been an 8-episode miniseries.
Yeah, it would have been ridiculous. So welcome to the 80s. Holy shit. So today we are just going to kind of ramble on about a few things in geek culture. So we're going to start off with something we haven't done in a while now. Holy shit.
At least 7 episodes.
At least. We have Florida Man. Paul's intro is so much better than mine. But Florida Man is essentially the superhero that nobody wants. He is just, by default, Florida's Superman. There's these stories that come out, it could be Florida Man, Florida Woman, and they just do random dumb shit that it's a trope to itself. And we have spoken time and again on this podcast about the random Florida Man stories, and I've always asked people to submit their own, and so far you haven't yet. But I've also said, submit your own from your own hometown.
I have a Florida Man story that I'm going to read today that came from a listener.
Oh, shit. Okay, cool.
But
I sit corrected.
Yeah, but I'm going to say it's not a bad one. It's a good one.
Okay, all right, cool. So Florida Man is actually a hero in that one.
An actual decent Florida man.
And then the flip side of that, what I also said was, since we are in Florida, I want to hear your town's version of Florida Man, stories from your town that kind of suit the Florida Man thing. And since I haven't gotten any yet, my daughter actually sent this to the 3 of us, which shows you, that my whole family is as fucked up as I am. She sent me this story, so I'm going to save mine because the title alone is just intriguing. So why don't you tell us all about our...
You want me to do the flipped around good Florida Man? Because he's essentially dressed up for Halloween, because there aren't really good Florida Men.
Oh, it is?
It's good Florida Man.
It's Halloween. I'm good with that.
Right? So he's wearing a costume. All right, so this one goes like this. So Florida...
Where did we get it from?
Oh, this came from... Actually...
I got this one from a listener. Don't give him any fucking credit.
Okay, that's a fair point. So, do you know Kara Rogers? She's our neighbor.
Yeah.
So she sent me this.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Kara, I am so sorry if you ever listen to any of this shit that we say. I don't know why you still talk to us.
All right, so this one is like I said, it's positive. It's the inverse of Florida Man. This must be Florida Man's secret identity, which is actually a good person or something. I don't know. Yeah. So Florida Man being...
It's before the beer binge.
Florida Man being completely bored is scrolling through Google Earth images of his previous neighborhood where he had a house that he sold. Right? And he sees when he's looking through there's this retention pond in the middle of the neighborhood, and there's a fucking car in it. He can see, like, just under the water. I don't know if you can see here in my picture. Oh, shit.
It went away, but I just saw it.
But yeah, so just under the water line, you can see this car, right? And so what he did was he called the person that he had sold his house to and said, hey, I was looking on Google Earth, and who knows how old the picture is, but he's like, I saw what looks like a car in the retention pond. You know, he's like, you
Right.
know anything about it?
Yeah,
And
because they update the pictures. What?
fairly frequent. Well, it depends. It really depends. It depends
It's
on
like
how.
a year or so at least.
Well, it depends on how busy the area is.
True. Okay. Yeah.
So some get flyovers frequently, and some might get every.
Because
7
ironically,
years or
much like this
something.
Florida man, I have done this.
So the guy that owns the house now has a drone. So he gets his drone out and he flies it up over the lake, and sure as shit, there's a car sitting in the lake, right? So he calls, they call the police or whatever and say, hey, there's a car sitting in the lake. We don't know where it came from, whatever. So the police come out to investigate. This guy has been missing, the guy that's in the car. So, they pulled the car out. There's a skeleton inside.
Wow.
And so this dude has been missing for 22 years. No shit. 22 years he's been sitting in this fucking lake in a populated community, and nobody ever noticed until a guy looked on Google, a Florida man, looked on Google Earth at his old neighborhood for no apparent reason at all and saw the goddamn car.
Now, again, go back to the beginning of the story. Was it the lake was like the location was right behind his old house, or it was just part of the neighborhood?
It actually doesn't say for sure. It's just
Okay.
It's a retention pond in his neighborhood.
Because I'm about to call out his bullshit.
Oh, really?
Like, I think you left that body in there.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm
Fucking 20 years later, hey, now's a good time to do this.
no, it actually does say he sees the light colored object in the retention pond behind his old house.
Right. Okay. So
yeah.
where the fuck were you for 20 years?
I don't know, man. And I mean, maybe the retention pond was low enough to see it or something. It turns out though, the police come to investigate. They figure out who the missing person is, but from what they know anyway, the guy had gotten like schmammered drunk at a bar and then disappeared.
Wow.
He left the bar and disappeared. So he may have just accidentally run into this fucking retention pond and nobody ever saw it, and it was the middle of the night, and he just sat there for 22 fucking years.
Nice. So they found it between Google Earth and a drone.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So two Florida men, not
Florida
minding
men.
their own fucking business, which I
Actually,
guess
there's
is
something good. All right. You know, because we're the captains of the tangent, I have to tangent onto my own little drone story. So we went to a birthday party a week ago for one of Noah's football teammates, right? And we were at like main event, one of these game places, right? And Noah's got the little game card that he's going around doing, and he goes to one of the crane machines, and you know the crane machines typically they're rigged. You know, you got like the little tells, like the tips of the crane, if they have like little rubber pieces on them still, you got a good chance of kind of grabbing something, you know. But they're all off of most of these machines. He goes to this one that has these little drones in it, and I like little baby remote control drones, like about 2 inches wide, right? And he goes walking over there. I wasn't there, but Heather just tells him, "Really, you're not going to win it. You know, it's in a little rectangular box." She's like, "What are you doing?" You know, and he swipes his card, and be damned if he doesn't fucking come up with a drone, and a little blue on it. That right, his favorite color. So it's like a little Bud Light can drops in, bloop, you know, and he's got this little drone, and Heather and I were getting ready to head out to Disney Food and Wine that night, right? So when we left the birthday party, he's all excited. He got this drone, and then back to back, right after the drone, he got a little Rocket Raccoon stuffy, right? He's like, "Yeah, cool."
The same game?
2 different games, yeah, but back to back within like 30 seconds of each other. He went to the next one, and
nice.
Bloop. So he had some pretty good luck going, right? But again, even like for a drone about that big, you figure, you know, it's more one of the pricier things. You figure
it's just like a few inches wide. It's a small,
it's literally that big.
Fits in your palm of your hand or whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, I know I'm audio version, John. So yeah, it's very tiny. It's about a little bit bigger than a silver dollar, right? But it's got a little remote control that goes with it, right? And you figure it's worth a little bit. You know, not everyone's going to win this thing, right? So on our way home, I take it out of the box to show him. And I told him on the way home, I was like, "Look, Mommy and Daddy are going out, so you probably just want to let it charge, and then we'll play with it tomorrow." Because he had something else going on the next day. I forget what. But I was like, you know, before we go out the next day, we had somebody coming over for lunch or whatever the hell it was. I said, before we do whatever we're going to do, we'll kind of hang out in the yard, and, you know. And then Heather chimed in, maybe you take it down to closer to your house, Eric, right, where the opening is, the big field, right?
Uh-huh.
Take it over there where you got room to kind of play around. Because neither one of us has really fucked around with a drone before.
I know where this is going.
And he says, okay, yeah. So, yes, okay, yes, we're going to wait. We drop him off, get everything settled. She and I get back in the car. We get 3/4 of the way over to Disney. It's about maybe 6 o'clock at night now, right? Phone rings. First, it's a FaceTime from Noah, and then it's gone. And then the phone rings, and then, okay, I pick it up, and he's, I lost my drone. I'm like, what the fuck? And we'll get a text from my daughter. I think you have to get him a new drone. And I'm like, God, what the fuck just happened? I looked at my wife. I'm like, this is what I mean. None of our kids ever listen to a word I say. So basically, long story short, we left. His sister was watching him. He started hanging out with his friends and telling them how he won this drone. And it was it was a cool thing. So I'd be bragging too. So of course he wanted to show them. He walked out. He grabbed the drone and the little remote control. And that was my fault because I put the fucking batteries in the remote control. I should have just waited until the next day. But he walks out front and goes to he's right in front of the next door neighbor's house, like right by our driveway, right? And I guess because even Fred saw him and he laughed. He was like, "Dude, I tried to get out there and help him find it, but he's like, he goes, I just saw it. He had the remote control in his hand. The thing fired up. He hit the control stick." And it shot straight into the fucking air. and he goes, and then I just saw his face crumple like.
Yeah.
So basically it went like out from over in front of our houses, up beyond our house, like over, I think it went over Fred's house, and like out over to the fields over there. So, without giving too much away of where we live, there's nothing behind me and a couple of my neighbors right here. I'm in the back corner of our neighborhood, and there's like farms and shit back there. So you can't even get there. You have to drive all the way around, like 10 minutes out of our neighborhood and around the side streets just to get generally close to that area, and then you'll be trespassing on somebody's land. But my daughter did try to take him out there to go find it. So she's out there. Him, Noah, and Jesse, Noah, and Mika, all three of them are out looking around behind the house area, looking with this fucking drone. They can't find it.
Yeah,
so
no luck.
But Heather and I, at that point, we decided to come home because this kid was like inconsolable, right? So by the time we actually got home, on the one hand, I'm pissed, right? Because I'm like, well, there goes my fucking date night, you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you gotta play parent and. Like, all right, well, you just fucking learned a lesson, didn't you? So get home, and I'm not really like mad at him, but the minute they finally pulled up, after Heather and I are kind of wandering around the different yards looking to see if we find it, they pull up from being around the corner, and he kind of walks over with his head down and just like walks right over to my wife. He's like, "I'm sorry, and she said, "Well, now it's okay. You learned a lesson, right?" And we looked for like the rest of the evening. We couldn't find shit. So this thing was just out of range of the remote control. That didn't charge fully, whatever. But again, I mean, he didn't spend anything to win it. So, but now, of course, long story short, Heather and I have already decided that we had been discussing for quite a while the idea of having like a good drone that we can actually like take footage with, the phones and shit, whatever. So he'll probably get one for Christmas or something, But it'll be like one of us has to be right there with him. And then I was like, well, if it's a drone that we can actually take video with, like me, you, and Paul can use it too, like for the show.
I actually have one.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, yeah.
But this is what I'll warn you, and it matters a lot here. Size matters. If you want to fly it outside, don't anything under like maybe 8 to 10 inches. The wind will take it, and you will lose it.
Okay.
And I was able to recover it, but I've lost my drone, which is is about 10 inches, a little square with 4, quadcopter one.
Yeah.
I've lost it a couple times here. Once on a roof, had to go retrieve it, and then once in a tree in the median in our.
Okay. All right, because I was looking at reviews.
They have a hard time fighting the wind, man.
Yeah, I was looking at reviews, and the one that I saw that had really, really good reviews was about $100. I was like, all right, that one might be all right, but maybe I might want to drop a little bit more on it. But we'll see.
Yeah.
So that was my tangent. That was a good 10 minutes long to tell that story, but that was a fun family story. It was just funny. I was like, legit 10 minutes down the road, and I lost my drone. God, really?
So I have a tangent story too. As long as we're gonna do it.
Hindsight to that one though.
Oh, yeah.
We looked like my daughter sent us pictures of Epcot that night. Someone took pictures of Epcot that night, and she was like, "Well, silver lining. I don't think you wanted to go there." And it was jam packed full of fucking people.
Oh yeah.
It was a Saturday night, and so Heather and I wound up going during the week to Food and Wine, and it was great because there was nobody there. So yeah. So I guess he saved us from dealing with crowds.
All right. So tiny tangent. Your story just reminded me of something that happened to us last year. We went to that Dave & Buster's in downtown Orlando no, it's not downtown Orlando. iDrive, I think.
Sure, yeah.
And Ethan and I...
That's what I consider downtown.
Yeah, me too, really. But so Ethan and I were running around Dave & Buster's playing games like we always do. We usually split, and Becca goes with Reagan, and I go with Ethan. But we were playing around games, and we always try to figure out what game is going to give us the most tickets, right?
Right.
Because that's the end goal, is to just get as many tickets as you can, and wherever you can get the best odds. And so we ran into this new game that was there. It was some weird thing where you splat like paint on a planet. It has like
Blackout.
Yeah, Blackout.
Yeah.
So they
actually had that for the Android phone I used to play.
Yeah.
Because Noah played it there. Yeah.
So they had.
I like that one. That's cool.
They had maybe just got that game because I don't remember it before. But anyway, we were playing the game, and the ticket payouts were like way more than what it kept saying on the screen. Like you would get way more tickets on your card, and we're like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then on top of that, it was like easy, like to get the wins.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't really take a lot, and you could get like 80% coverage, and it'd be like, oh, okay. Here's...
So the concept of the game is a slingshot type of game. The slingshot is front of the screen, and you're aiming at a planet, and you're trying to. Every time you slingshot something on there, you're covering it in that color. The idea is to get as much of the percentage of the planet covered in your color.
So I won't belabor this, but we just
I just did.
We just decided we had spent like $20 on credits or whatever, and we just decided we're gonna burn them all on this game because paying out so many tickets, it's ridiculous. End of the night. 2 Switch games. We got 2 fucking Switch games out of $20.
Shit.
Like the only time in my life I will ever win at an arcade thing, and because something was fucked up. In the next time we went back, nope.
Oh yeah, no.
Like somebody realized what was happening on that game. It was just like the right night to be there, and I was like,
I love when you find those. We got one like the localer, blah, blah, blah. The one closer to here, Game Time. I like because you got the time card, and then you have the card where you get tickets. And when we want to play, just like we'll do like a card one for Noah for a little while, and let him burn that one. Then we'll get a couple of time cards, and we'll all play. And I know we'll just tangent the fuck out of this. It's fine, whatever. It's the Geekly Weekly. It's just part of the conversation. This is where we get our family conversation in.
Yeah.
We've just been doing so much fucking Halloween shit. Even I needed a break for a second. We went to Game Time, and Noah and I actually started from the very beginning of the Walking Dead game with the crossbows, and we beat it.
Yeah.
Like, we went all the way the fuck through it.
Yeah, I can remember.
And he would not leave. He was like, I want to keep going. I'm like,
yeah.
Fuck yeah, because, OCD. I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I've done that with friends, probably at Dave & Buster's, where we just pump a game full of quarters until we can get to the end.
No, that's how my brother and I used to do it.
Well, not literal quarters, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's how my brother and I used to play all the time. And then, so to do it, that was the first time I'd done it with my son. So I was like, oh, okay, this is fun. Just to see him, like, he reminded me of me back in the day. Like, keep on going. And then I had enough money to buy the card to keep him going. So I was like, well, let's go. We have the time. Let's go. And we went and we kept on playing and playing and playing. And it was fun to go all the way through one game with him together. And he was like high-fiving me and shit. Like, oh, I got that one. Did you see it? I'm like, yeah, I saw it. So, little Daryl shooting his crossbow. But, all right. So, now that we've straight up tangented from Florida Man, we'll go to my Florida Man story, which is not a Florida Man story. But I guess since it goes from shooting crossbows, we're going to Texas.
It's a Florida Man in spirit.
Oh, it's so much is. In fact, when my daughter tagged us in this, she said, I know this isn't Florida Man, but it's still funny as hell. The title of this, the headline is, Texas Butthole Tickling Bandit has finally been caught. And with a name like the Texas Butthole Tickling Bandit, it doesn't take any imagination to know what he does after breaking in. Apparently, they don't name him in the very beginning of this thing, but this article was written a few months ago. Okay, so it was back in March, right? So he got caught back in March. Actually, this is a very old article. I'm sorry. This is March of 2017. But he's been doing this for 2 months, right? January 5th of 17, he started, I guess. And then he got caught March 8th of 17. So identified and caught by police in the early hours of January 5th, he managed to elude capture for 3 weeks. I guess they knew he was out there and they were chasing him. And has given male residents in the area a real tough time with his spate of assaults, which totaled 12 homes by the time he was stopped. So I'm thinking this is on-the-job training for proctology, right? He's trying to...
Yeah, he's a student for sure.
Yeah. So my favorite part of this, outside of the fact that all this dude is doing is breaking into homes and diddling people's buttholes, it says, which is just amazing, and that's Florida Man right there. It's not quite throwing a salami sandwich at your wife, but it's up there. Police originally thought their suspect was homeless. However, when they picked their man up, he was actually wearing $4,500 worth of Yeezus clothing. Oh my God! It says read more, and I'm not going to. I'm done with it. I'm like, I don't need any more for this story. So yeah, so there you go. So Texas, you're running a close second right now. Mm-hmm. I think that would be fun too. We're gonna have to go.
What? Breaking into people's homes and butthole tickling. Do we do it live on air, or what were you thinking exactly?
Just took a turn. First knuckle, second knuckle. What are we doing here? No.
Can we live stream that?
Just real quiet. Okay.
Oh.
Cough. Jesus. Anyway, no. Compiling the number of stories. Okay, so obviously Florida is way in the lead. But just to see how many of these stories we get from other states, just to see who runs up second.
No, I'm sure. You could probably take any populous state, and I'm sure there's a Texas man. There's damn sure a California man. There's probably a New York man.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. New York man is always angry. Mm-hmm. He's not angry. He's just always in a rush.
Yeah.
He ain't taking 3 weeks to diddle 12 assholes. I can tell you that much right now. No. He's getting that done in 2 nights. He's got no
time for that shit. No time for that shit. And who the fuck can take 12 cabs anyway? You got to stay close to home.
Apartment complexes. Yeah. There you go.
Just diddle the whole complex.
Jesus Christ. All right, so there's our Florida Man.
All right, so we're half an hour in and we haven't finished Florida Man. I think we better.
This is a record.
We better get on to the content.
It's a fucking record.
They're gonna stop listening.
Yeah, I guess. All right, so for the Geekly Weekly for this week in the first day of October, and we're peeing. All right. Yeah. Okay. Good.
All right. So we're gonna
break his back.
Yeah, we're gonna finally get into it, or at least that's what I heard. Not into the butthole tickling, but into the actual content of this story.
I was just thinking, Texas boy's lucky he didn't come down here before I had my surgery. That would have cured him of his butthole tickling.
Oh gosh. Oh.
All right. So this week in
All right, so let's start with the Halloween content.
Hey, this is What If Geeks.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna talk about
let's start
content.
with the Halloween content because because it's October, right? And because that's supposed to be the theme of all the episodes.
Creepy music. Do.
So Netflix.
We posted on our website, so please go check out the article.
Yep, there is a post on the blog there about it. Netflix is doing a shit ton of original content for the Halloween season. They actually started back in like second week of September. So the blog was timely released. This won't necessarily be timely, but you can hear it anyway.
Well, you have time to catch up with Netflix.
Yeah, you can still watch all this stuff. So we won't go over everything because that would probably be an hour in itself, but there is some worthwhile, I think, original content.
We'll breeze through. We'll breeze past some of the kid shit in here. Yeah. But there's plenty of Halloween content for all of you Halloween nuts. So they're referring to this as
Netflix and chills. So not Netflix and chill, but chills. Yeah, so because they're clever like that. And so for what it's worth, we'll do it right at the end, but Hulu does have 2 original pieces for the Halloween season. The other streaming services seem to have forgot about Halloween. Not forgot, but they're only doing existing content, and then they're going to release it. Yeah. And Netflix will do that too, but what we want to talk about is original stuff that they're dropping. So the first thing, which I've watched the first 2 episodes of, but it's an 8-episode series called Marianne. This is created and directed by Samuel Bowden, who did Batman Ashes to Ashes short and Lazy Company. But it follows this. By the way, this is French language. They do have English voiceovers and they do have English captions, so you can do it either way you want. I would recommend the captions over the voiceovers because the voiceovers are terrible. I tried them on the first episode. But anyway, it's about like this woman is a writer and she's writing. Her creative inspiration is like stuff that might have happened to her as a child, or at least that's what it seems like. Again, I'm only 2 episodes in. But she realizes that the characters in her novels that she's writing actually exist in the real world, right? Like there's actual shit going on. And even within the first couple episodes, since that's all I've seen, there's some really fucked up shit that happens. Okay. And it's a little bit horror and a little bit thriller maybe, and a little bit fucked up story. So it's worth checking out. It's interesting. And so they dropped that on September 13th, but you can watch all 8 episodes. It's not being released on a time thing or whatever. There is a bunch of kid-friendly stuff, by the way, that Netflix is doing, and we'll sort of very quickly go over these.
We don't do anything quickly. All right. So Last Kids on Earth. All right. So
that was dropped already as
September 17th. Check that out. Jack Sullivan is running around doing battles. So
battles with zombies and stuff, but it's in a maybe like a 7 or 8 year old appropriate format. Nothing super gory or anything like that. And it's cartoon. It's animated.
Yeah, it's animated. Glitch season 3.
Yep, season 3. So this was actually a collaboration between Netflix and ABC that started a few years ago. It was originally it's Australian. It's an Australian production company that started this, or gave the pitch, I guess, that ABC picked up, and then. But anyway, so. It follows a group of people. I think there's a half dozen of them, right? Yeah, 6. Sure. Yep. So they basically come back from the dead. So you've probably heard this before in
numerous.
Numerous. But there's a popular one that's going on right now, The Returned or something.
There's a Return. There's Manifest was one that was not dead. We don't know what you don't know what happened to them when it started. Whoa, they just came back from nowhere. We thought they were dead.
Well, anyway, if you've watched Glitch at all, this will be the wrap season where they'll actually finish the story. It doesn't have any more options or anything. They're actually going to close it out on.
Oh, good. Because I haven't seen any of it, so I'll watch it.
Well, so you can always catch up on it if you want to, because it'll be on Netflix for a while. In the Shadow of the Moon. So this is set back in the 80s, and this also dropped, I think, already. Yeah, September 25th. So that was recent. This is set back in the 80s about a police officer who is tracking a serial killer or whatever, who the serial killer comes back like every 9 years, like, clockwork. Always comes back every 9 years. So there's some supernatural...
His name is Pennywise?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of that concept. There's some supernatural... elements to this or whatever, like things that aren't scientifically explainable or whatever. But basically him trying to seek out the answers is pretty much destroying his career because everybody thinks he's, well, not everybody, but some people think he's crazy and, he's just chasing nothing. Right. And so it does have Boyd Holbrook, who played Pierce in the Logan movie, and then Michael C. Hall from Dexter, the guy that played the main character in Dexter. You ever see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, and Cleopatra Coleman, who was on Last Man on Earth, if you watch that series.
I saw a couple of them. Yeah.
So anyway, it's like a psychological thriller, but interesting anyway. And then so the new ones that are coming out that haven't actually dropped yet. So
we have to really go through these because we're already at half an hour.
All right. Well, that's because we spent half an hour talking about drones and video games.
We got to intersperse some family content just to endear ourselves to the fan.
All right, you take this one because it's part of your.
Yeah. So In the Tall Grass is about is based on some shit by Stephen King. I briefly saw the trailer for it, and I'm like, okay, I want to see this. The only thing I noticed about the trailer is a bunch of people wandering around in grass, and they can't they can't find each other, which is interesting. For a city guy like me to get lost in a cornfield kind of thing, scared the shit out of me. So I'm like, all right, I want to check this out. So it's by a novella written by Stephen King and his son, Joe Hill. Yep. So go check that out. That comes out on October 4th.
That's the only thing that's going to make it interesting, I think.
I think so. Creeped Out, October 4th as well, Season 2. Yeah. All right, keep going.
Keep asking.
Super Monsters, Season 2.
That's another kids one.
One. Yeah, but hey, it looks like it's just glancing at it. It looks like Paw Patrol with monsters. I don't know. I see a whole bunch of monsters lined up next to each other. It looks like they're super monsters for kids. There you go. Yeah. Watch that. All right. Okay. Never mind. The Spooky Tale of Captain Underpants Hackaway.
Yeah, that's another kid one. Yeah, they got a fair
I'm leaving alone the Hackaway part because I read way too many Captain Underpants books with my kid, and I'm just gonna leave that alone. I'm not fucking touching that until I read it.
They have a fair amount. I mean, they have 15 total original titles, and I think nearly half of them are kids titles.
Yeah.
So but given that the next streaming service is dropping 2 original titles, I mean.
Yeah, I'm absolutely going to watch this one because Noah likes it. Yeah. So there's a few others, Fractured. Again, most of these you can go back to. I'm going to fly through this thing as I'm scrolling on my phone. Go back to our website, whatifgeeks.com, and look up the awesome article. Eric wrote it about Netflix and chills.
Yeah, it'll give you all the description of all the shows and what the premise of it is and everything. And
yeah, I've said this a few times now, but now that shit's finally settling down slowly, I need to get better at starting to put shit on this website. Eric has been running this whole fucking website and writing an amazing. I thought I was a good writer until this asshole started writing on this website, and then it's just he writes really well. So you can enjoy his humor and his writing until I finally get the fuck in there.
All right, so we can jump ahead, but one I think might be interesting is this Daybreak. So this is very much a Zombieland premise. Okay, but it's gonna be it's post-apocalypse. The zombie apocalypse has already happened, right? But this follows a high schooler and his friends. Friends is probably not the right term, but people he meets up with or whatever that go with him.
Associates.
So it's like Zombieland meets a little bit of Mad Max though, because it's they do this post-apocalyptic thing in the show or whatever, where it's the world has ended and factions have formed. And anyway, I think it could be really interesting. I obviously haven't seen it because it drops October 24th, but I read about this, and this is based on a comic that was written by Brian Ralph, who's actually a cartoonist. He's not even really a comic writer, but
I did not know that. Okay, now I gotta go to the comic.
So it could be interesting. It depends on how well they do it, but yeah, Daybreak, October 24th. So it'll be right around Halloween. Rattlesnake is another one I want to do, and so the last one I want to talk about is Prank Encounter. So you remember when what the hell was that famous guy that was married to Demi Moore?
Ashton Kutcher, Punk'd.
Yeah, thanks. So this is a Punk'd premise where they're
so it'd be similar to Practical Jokers.
Yeah, something like that. They're pranking people, but it's the kid from Stranger Things.
Yes. Okay, yeah. The guy, the kid with the gap teeth, the no teeth.
Yeah. So the
Matarazzo.
The funny thing about this one is that it's gotten a bunch of shit because what they're doing is they're taking people that have just come into a new job and they're pranking them with these like horror themed pranks. So these people think they're getting hired for a real job, and then in the end it's this show fucking with them, right? And they don't actually have a real job. Now I assume they get paid.
I saw one of these online. It was they put, but it's a commercial for an LG TV. I'll find it and then we'll post it on our website. They're doing an interview. And while the guy's interviewing him, right, the TV's behind him, but they make it look like a window. And while he's interviewing, all these people see in the window behind him is a meteor hitting, like immediately, right behind him. And so like the cameras are catching them, like freaking the fuck out while he's talking to them. And he's like, "What?" And he looks over, and then so he plays into it, like, "Oh my god," you know.
Yeah.
And it's like every all these interviews that they do.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And it's like and then, like they shut the lights off in the room because like. So, it's funny.
I think this could be funny too, but people are getting mad because they're like, "Oh, you're preying on people that have been searching for a job, and now they think they found one, and you're just doing a prank show."
Yeah, that's all I call it.
You know, and a few days into
I bet they pay them too. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, I understand they're gonna have to go look for a job again, but they're probably gonna get paid like several $1,000 for
just for being
just for being pranked for a day or two.
Yeah. They're going to get paid a good amount of money for their
Certainly
time.
More than they would have made hourly. Granted, they're still going to have to go back and find another job after they're done.
Yeah, but for someone who has recently, in the last 5 years, been on the market looking for jobs, this is not that big a deal. Okay, this one doesn't pan out. But at least this is a story. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have any of these stories for going on these interviews and being like, yeah, that didn't pan out. So, but I mean, I get the argument on it as far as like, you wasted your time. But again, you get a story and you guarantee they're going to pay them for their time. So I don't want to hear it. And they wouldn't be on the show if they didn't accept it.
I think that.
So how about you stop being everybody else's social justice warrior?
Well, that's true. They have to sign release waivers and all that shit, right?
Yeah.
And
so they've agreed.
Paycheck,
they took the check and they said, "Okay, I get it." And they signed the release.
I'm with you, but
this is the internet and the call out culture.
Yep, the call out culture. That's
you are not defending yourself, so I'm going to defend you.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Well, then I'm going to stand over here on the other side and tell you to go fuck yourself. There's my call out culture. The whole call out culture.
So I think that's really. There's a couple other kid shows on Netflix that are coming out. There's a couple other originals that are coming out. There are some seasons that are renewing, but nothing sounded all that interesting except. Okay. A handful.
Those look
go to the website and look at it. You can decide what you like.
And comment. Let us know.
Yep.
And then the website.
And then Hulu has only just 2 coming out that are original content. Well, just really quick. Into the Dark, which is like a anthology sort of thing. Like each episode is a different scary story or whatever. But it's more. Sure. It's not geared towards children like Creeped Out is, which is one of the ones that's coming out on Netflix. So anyway, it's second season that'll be out October 5th, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Hulu had one more, and I don't remember what it is now, but I guess we'll just skip it. It was another.
Okay, and then on that note, you also have like your the things because we are now October 1st. It's official. It's our first official October Geekly Weekly. I'll jump into the deeper Halloween shit. As you all know, I love Halloween. I love this whole time of year. Mainly because it's Halloween. I like horror movies and shit like that. But then it also, to me, I go from like the second week of September, so basically like the start of football season, all the way through basically the end of football season because it takes me all the way through the new year. So all the holidays are kind of like wrap up into like one big thing, right? I love this whole few month timeline. But starting with this one, I love just the feeling of like all these creepy little commercials that come out, and I guess it also takes me back to when I was younger. You get a lot of those little creepy commercials that I miss a lot now because I don't watch a whole lot of live TV now. Mm-hmm. But you would get like you get even like McDonald's would get in on it, like little chicken nuggets dressed in their costumes and crap like that. Everybody had Halloween commercials, just like everybody has Christmas commercials later that we'll talk about later. But you have all these commercials that come out, and then you have all these channels like like these now, the streaming services are getting into it. But you have these ones like Freeform that do the 13 Nights of Halloween, or you have AMC that starts like in October. They run marathons of The Walking Dead now because that's their own shit. They can run all day long. They do, but then they have like every night is a different horror movie, and they advertise the shit out of that. Like you can't turn on AMC without seeing like their horror fest, whatever, you know. Yeah. And I love those fucking movies. And it'll be like one of those, like, AMC is one of those perfect channels where I'll be watching The Walking Dead or whatever, and a commercial will come on in October for whatever movie they got coming up, like that Thursday or some shit. And I'll be like, oh, son of it, you know, I guess I know what the hell I'm recording because I can't stay up late enough to watch it because I got to go for work. But damn, I haven't seen that in like 6 years, so I'm going to, you know, it'd be like whatever, like we said before, like The Howling or some shit I haven't seen in 15 fucking years. They'll be running some random shit, and they'll run like a whole bunch of different shots from different movies.
Oh yeah,
and then
they
go
do those
like
little
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
episodes,
Thursday,
yeah.
Or like, you know, they'll tell you
get
like the whole
you
week.
Get like 5 or 10 seconds of each
movie,
and you're like, oh, I recognize that
and
scene.
That's the commercial, and then they go Monday through Friday, 8:00, and here's the whole lineup each day. And, or they'll do like Monday and they'll give you 2 slots, and Tuesday 2 slots, but they give you a whole lineup of like anywhere between 5 and like 15 fucking movies, and you're like, well, son of a bitch, my DVR is going to be busy. Meanwhile, I think I own like half of them anyway, but I'm just like, Halloween, I'm always bad about DVRing shit that I already own because I'm like, oh, it's right there in front of me, click. So I like those. So you got all that shit. There's a lot of content to watch, is what I'm really trying to say. You can go and check out all the kind of Halloween shit. And now that it is October, I want you guys to jump on our website, check out what we said about Netflix and chills, and then let us know between that and Facebook and whatever, what kind of shit, like we said earlier, what sets you in the mood for Halloween? What movies do you like to watch? What are you looking forward to seeing? Kind of, you know, that kind of shit. Let us know what you've seen already that's kind of popping up now. I know there's a handful. We've already talked about all these movies that we've been briefly, especially the werewolf movies are all over Amazon.
Movie on Amazon Prime.
So it's like all these shits are everywhere now. You can find them. There's been a handful of them. Like I know some of them I haven't even watched yet that I've been meaning to watch, like Scary Stories Tell in the Dark. I was dying to watch that. It's come and gone for me, and I'm like, oh well, shit, I gotta watch that. You know, The Dead Don't Die, the zombie movie with Adam Driver and Bill Murray. That's been out there. I just got a good copy of DVD copy of Child's Play, the remake, or the whatever the fuck you want to call it, the alternate reboot from the original creator, whatever, the AI version. I started watching that. I got about maybe a third of the way through it. I'm through like Act 1, and it's good. I like it. I'm like, I want to watch the rest of it. I haven't had time. So there's a bunch of shit. So you let us know what you guys are looking forward to watching or what you plan on watching, because it's just going to feed into what I want to watch, and we'll have a conversation about it. So hit us up on the website and Facebook and let us know. Let's see. So getting into the regular Geekly Weekly
the
shit
non-Halloween content.
Non-Halloween content.
You can shut it off now if you just came for Halloween.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because now that we're 43 minutes into the fucking
I mean,
thing.
if you came for arcade stories and then Halloween stuff,
now
you can shut it off.
Yeah. You really, really enjoyed our family moment, and then now you're done. This one for me is going to be pretty quick. They dropped a Birds of Prey trailer. I saw it about an hour and a half ago. Okay, I saw it. It's Margot Robbie.
I feel like we say this every time. It's Margot Robbie.
I have no... I don't have any real interest in this movie outside of the fact that I really like what she did with Harley Quinn in the other movie, and she's hot, so I definitely want to see what else she does with her. The trailer itself does give you a little bit more of the story. Like, she's not with the Joker, and she's trying to do her own thing, but she's got this whole team now.
Yeah,
and
so
whatever.
She split from the Joker, and she has Black Canary, Huntress, and Renee Montoya with her.
Yeah, so whatever.
And they're fighting against Black Mask.
Yeah, which is Ewan McGregor. Which is funny to me because, on the one hand, I like Ewan McGregor as an actor. I do a lot. But Black Mask, it's in his fucking name. And you don't see his mask once in any of these trailers at all. So what, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck are you doing? He's a distinct character in the Batman franchise too. Like, he's one of the later villains. He's not like Joker, Penguin, whatever, Riddler. He's a little bit later for me, but he wears a fucking black mask, and you don't see it at all in any of these trailers. Like, I don't see it.
I'm not sure how you could pay for Ewan McGregor and then put a mask on him the whole movie.
Not even the whole movie, but still, like, you haven't seen it one time. Unless they're saving it for the movie, I guess. I don't know.
It's one trailer at this point.
Yeah.
This is going to come out next year, February, I think.
Yeah, but it's also DC too, so.
Yeah.
Track record.
How they do.
Yeah. I thought they were getting it down, but I don't know yet. We shall see.
Maybe the Joker will prove us... Joker will prove us wrong.
Maybe. We shall see. But again, technically, what they're saying is he's not in this universe. So this is supposed to be in the same universe we know. Yeah. So it kind of like, I compartmentalize all that shit. We'll see. Again, I'm going to see it. I mean, it's probably one of those... I don't think I want to go spend the money to go see it in the theater.
Yeah.
I'll probably watch it on DVD, but I'll see it at some point. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe if I get a free ticket.
You'll have to wait a year to see her then.
Oh, well, whatever.
Well, no, actually you don't, because you can go see the reboot of the...
Yup.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Look, I'll figure something out here. It'll be all right. It's not like I'm lacking. I think I've proven in this podcast I'm not lacking for people to look at on screen. I'm a dirty old man. I find one in every movie. But, yeah, so I'm not worried about seeing this movie. I don't wish it any ill will. I just don't really, like, I saw the trailer. I was like, all right, whatever.
It's another, you think they're trying to, so they've had immense success with Margot, of course.
She was extremely popular in Suicide Squad.
Yep. Suicide Squad. Thanks for reminding me what the other movie is. It's coming out before this one.
Yeah, that one. That's coming out. Yeah, James Gunn. I'm holding out high hopes for that one. But they put so much stock into her after she was popular in the first one. And again, not taking anything away from her as an actress. She did a good job. She played a good Harley Quinn in the movie as far as the actual acting part of it. But she's a two-dimensional character even in the movie.
Yeah.
And it was like it leaned heavily into, we know exactly why you want to watch her as Harley Quinn. Like, to the point where, like, they have her getting dressed in front of all the guys. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, they know what they're doing with her. They're not stupid. She's over-sexualized a lot. Not complaining about that either. I'm just saying to hinge, I think at one point they announced like 5 fucking different movies with this character. Come on.
Yep. The franchise is built on her, but I don't think it was entirely about Margot, because they had so much success with Gal and Wonder Woman.
Right.
And I think they thought, well, okay, maybe female characters are a lot more liked than we realized, and we can push this,
and that's a good narrative.
But it was for... Those two movies are completely different, though, and why people like it are completely different reasons.
Yes.
And it's not all about Margot. And
right. Everybody loved Wonder Woman because it was a good fucking movie about an iconic character. Again, not taking anything away from Margot Robbie or Harley Quinn as a character. You pretty much backed the wrong horse, is what you did. Instead of, like, she's a supporting character and keeping her there, you could give her her own movie or whatever, or like this one. But the announcements that they made coming out of that, it was very, very reactive to the positive feedback they got, and it was ridiculous. So while I don't want it to be bad, I don't hold out any hope for anything they're doing with this character right now. So.
And, other franchises have made mistakes like this. People have put stock into Megan the hell's her name?
Megan Fox.
Yeah, Megan Fox, right? And
Yeah.
thinking like, oh well, damn, she's so popular, we can make a movie successful around her.
And what did they do? What were they reacting to? One scene out of a Transformers movie when she's got Bumblebee's hood open and it pans slow. Really? That's the entire that right there was the entire thing that made her. Not to say she's not an attractive woman, but that shot right there made her career, and they banked everything on her, and it shows later.
Yeah.
Not a good choice.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they don't do the same. Again, I think Margot Robbie's a few steps higher in caliber.
Well, what I was getting at is that the actress isn't everything.
Right.
The story has to be interesting.
You have to have a good story.
The character has to have depth. And
Exactly.
If they don't,
yes, I agree with you. The
you're
story
blowing a
is
lot of
not.
money.
And I just looking at the trailer, I don't think the story is there. So
1 in 10 will keep watching and say they love it, but
yeah. So we've spent more time on this fucking trailer than I even spent thinking about it before we started.
we're only on line 2 of
so
the
let's
of the
jump
outline.
on. What's next, dude?
All right, so Sony. Let's just do Disney. We're just gonna do the rest. Will be Disney, and we'll finish it out. So first things first, Disney and Sony have finally come to a fucking deal for Spider-Man, for Tom Holland's Spider-Man specifically. So yeah, he did tell us that would happen. So we heard all kinds of rumors about different percentage shares and everything, but anyway, they finally made a deal. And what we know now is that Disney's gonna put up 25% of the budget for the films. I did say plural because there will be 3 in this deal. So they're going to put up 25% of the budget, and they will get 25% of the profits in return. And so the next...
Which is 20% more. Well, it's actually more than 20% more.
Yeah, well, they had 5% first gross in the original deal. So that's before
opening weekend.
Profit. That's a different... Yeah, but anyway.
So yeah, we're not going to get into the math of it.
No, we won't. But so 25% of profits, which is a good exchange for them because I'm sure these will do well. But so the very first one will be 2021... I believe. Yeah, July 2021.
Yeah.
That'll be the Spider-Man, the Tom Holland Spider-Man threequel, I guess. Is it?
Back to Home or some dumb shit.
Homeward Bound.
Yeah. It's going to be him and a fucking golden retriever.
Yes.
A goddamn cat.
Anyway, but it will be set, that threequel will be set in the MCU. Like, it will be officially part of the whole MCU story. Feige will be involved in all the development. He's going to do it along with Amy Pascal from Sony, who has done some previous Spider-Man stuff. So July 16th, that's when they've currently got it set for the next one. And there'll, of course, be 2 more after that, which will probably happen both in 2022, maybe 2023.
Yeah. Now, those will be either Spider-Man centric or there'll be him involved with MCU movies.
Yeah.
Not sure,
So
not
I don't
sure
think
exactly how that breaks down.
We don't know the details from the deal, except that the next movie will be an MCU-based Spider-Man sequel to
Far From Home. Yeah. So on that note, before we get into the other shit of the deal. One, I hope that means that we are going to get more of J.K. Simmons as Jameson. Parker, get me Spider-Man. Oh my God. Sorry, spoiler alert, in case you haven't seen the movie. Oh, shit, wait, you haven't seen it yet, have you?
Far From Home?
Yeah.
No, I just watched Homecoming. I haven't even seen Far From Home yet. I'm not.
Oops.
I don't feel like it's spoiled though. It's fine.
It was all right. It was a little what do you call it? The little tag at the end of the credits, right?
Yeah.
He's hanging out with MJ, and they're swinging through the city, whatever, and they land, and they're in the middle of New York City, and like the TVs play, and it pops up. It says, like Daily Bugle, but the Daily Bugle is like an internet BuzzFeed kind of thing, right?
Right.
So they're not just a newspaper now; they're like internet, right? YouTube-ish kind of news, and it does Daily Bugle, internet, whatever, and then it cuts, and it's fucking J.K. Simmons, but he looks a little bit different than he did in the Sam Raimi ones, but which speaks maybe to like your multiverse kind of thing, right? He's the same guy, And it's straight up him. Yeah, and it says, J. Jonah Jameson on the bottom of the little ticker, And he starts talking about Spider-Man's a menace. And everybody in the theater lost their shit. Everybody lost their shit, dude. It was amazing. So I apologize for ruining that for you. But it's just one of those after credit things. There's 2 after credit things. I won't ruin the other one. But that one, I inadvertently ruined it. I totally forgot you didn't see it. We drink way too much. I can't remember everything. But yeah, it was just so fucking amazing when he popped out there. That was another one of those ones where Heather, she smiled, and I was like, I knew they were gonna fucking get him at some point. You know what I mean? Like I knew they had to do something with him because everybody was begging for it, and it worked so perfectly. So hopefully they'll really lean on that. Maybe he'll be working for the Bugle, whatever. But oh fuck, it was so good to see him back there. Now, outside of that, who knows what the fuck it's going to be about? You really have to watch the rest of it. I'm not going to spoil the rest of it. So, leaning into what they left off with, it's pretty deep. So, you got to watch the movie. I think we might even have it on our Vudu. So, I'll have to find out what the hell our password is and let you watch it. You didn't hear that, internet cops. But you have to watch this fucking movie before it gets too old. The other side note, going back to what they could be making, something else I saw, but I did not click on it yet, was one of the rumors that was bouncing around there. This article said, okay, yes, this is happening. Now the Sony, the Venomverse, can make reference to the MCU, right? Which was part of the discussion back and forth. Was hey, you keep him in the MCU, we'll help you with Venom and whatever. Which, again, we'll go back to the fact that I still have a problem with the fact that they made a Venom movie without Spider-Man. We've had this problem. But we're already here. If you have the people in the MCU, Kevin Feige especially, helping you massage this shit and tweak it, you can make it pretty close to the comic. All right, so the symbiote got here and didn't get a hold of Peter first. Had you done this the right way, that could have been done in Infinity War.
Yeah.
And while he was fucking off the planet, duh. But, nobody was listening to this podcast in Marvel, and you didn't hear me say it. I've been saying it for a long time. But anyway, that didn't happen. So now you have the Sony Spider-Man shit or the extended Spider-Verse will be able to reference...
Sonyverse.
Yeah, the Sonyverse, there you go, will reference the MCU and vice versa. So you're starting to blend a little bit more. And I still think that at the end of the day, you're going to wind up with Disney just going, you know what, fuck it. Here's $10 billion. Just give them back. Because that was my last prediction before when the Sony CEO came out, and this will lead into the next conversation. When he came out and said, well, the doors closed for the foreseeable future on Spider-Man and the MCU. And, Kevin Feige's stretched very thin, and he didn't do everything. Well, now there's an agreement, and Kevin Feige is the head guy again doing all that shit.
Yep.
So he wasn't really that stretched thin, according, So you just proved yourself a liar. And there's some other shit that's going to prove that he's not that stretched thin here in about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So but when they first said the door was shut, that was when I started jumping on my bandwagon or standing on my soapbox going, you watch, Disney is going to say, you know what? Fuck this. Because remember I said every acquisition has been bigger.
Yep.
I said they're going to turn around and they're going to buy Sony out, not the company, but they're going to buy out the rights to their characters. They're going to be like, no, we want everybody back home. They're going to buy that. They're going to go to Universal. They're going to buy back the Hulk. And they're going to say, hey, by the way, while we're here, here's an extra couple of fucking $100 million. Take all of our characters out of this park that's right down the street from our Disney World because we want them here. And you can go make a deal with Six Flags or DC or whatever the fuck you're going to do. Which I have a whole intricate plan for that too. You can do all that shit. But I had a theory they were going to buy everything back. And I still think it's on the plate. I think it's going to, they're looking at it. I think it's in the next 5 or so years, they're going to just be like, fuck it.
I mean, they're
it's
a giant
easier
conglomerate.
for us.
They can buy whatever the fuck they want, really.
It's easier for them to just buy it all back. And then
But they have shareholders, so they have to be careful.
Well, sure. But it's okay. As long as they're making their shareholders money.
Yeah, well.
They're going to say nothing. Yeah.
And at least lately, that's been really true. That stock has gone up like 20% in the last since April.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
and I do believe me. I get the arguments of, oh my God, Disney's buying everything, and what happens to the creative, whatever. There's still plenty of so much shit out there that's creative, and I see both sides of it. Much like I see both sides of a lot of these arguments, I do get like that. You're buying everything out. But on the flip side of that, the stuff that I have seen them buy out has thrived. So, it's not like they were hurting nothing with the buyout,
Yeah.
And it's not like they're going to buy out Sony completely. Apple was going to do that. That was kind of funny. Apple was going to buy it and be like, here you go. But anyway, so they've made peace. They've shaken hands, hugged it out, and they're very excited to be working back together again, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. So we at least get 3 more movies and maybe some other bullshit within that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Shit can be referenced, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, they have 900 villains or some ridiculous shit like that they still own the rights to, too. So
see, the thing is, like, if Sony was smart and played ball with Disney, or if Disney just says fuck it and buys them out, then either one of those things can lead to the storyline that just happened recently, that Planet of the Symbiotes thing, where you learn more about Venom's background because a whole shit ton of symbiotes come to Earth and start taking over heroes. And there's a whole thing. It's Spider-Man centric, but it's all of the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
That could be a fucking storyline in itself. You know what I mean?
That could be a trilogy. You never know.
Yeah. So we'll see. All right, so moving on to the other Disney shit. Speaking of Kevin Feige,
Star Wars.
Kevin Feige, it's been announced that he will direct at least one
new
Star Wars movie.
Yep. And so he is going to be. So this isn't like he's replacing anybody else per se.
No.
I mean,
like he's replacing Kathleen Kennedy.
So Kathleen Kennedy will still have oversight of all the development to production. She'll still be there.
Yeah.
But he'll get to put his particular spin on it. Now, I have a whole lot to say about this, so I know we don't have enough time to say a whole lot about it, but I'm going to do it anyway. So a whole bunch of things here. So first of all,
everybody lost their fucking minds.
Yeah, and in both ways though. So Star Wars fans are like the most cynical fucks on the planet. Seriously, I mean, because as soon as somebody announced that, I said, "Why the fuck do you need this asshole here? Leave him over in the Marvel universe." I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like, okay, you have at this point, you have the sextology or whatever the hell you call it, the first 6 films, and you got these next 3, which a lot of people don't like because they're also, I don't know, these people are just mad about everything. So the next 3 movies you don't like. But anyway, you don't make another trilogy at this point, right? That's not what you do.
Yeah.
You can do a bunch of individual stories about characters nobody's heard of. You could jump back in time to the Old Republic. There's so much content there. You can work with extended universe, expanded universe. What the hell they call it?
It's Legends now.
Oh, Legends. Yeah. So Legend stuff that you can take from. If anybody could take a bunch of individual stories and weave them into what's already been built, it's Feige. That's what he does. That's what he's done for Marvel, right? You take all these disparate stories and say, how the fuck can I marry these together? And the guy is a fucking genius at that.
Yeah.
Like, if there's anybody I want to come to Star Wars right now, it's him.
Yeah.
I don't want another trilogy. I don't want episode 10, 11, 12. I want to see a bunch of side stories that get wrapped up into the...
Because here's my biggest problem with what's been going on with Star Wars, right? Was the storyline, right?
Yeah.
That's the one thing I've been complaining about. I don't know enough about Kathleen Kennedy to really badmouth her. I blame her because she's the figurehead, much like I blame the guy I have to talk to get my house repaired. Well, because you're the one I'm fucking talking to, so guess what? You're going to get all this. So Kathleen Kennedy gets it all. I don't know who made this decision. I know she's like in the head honcho shit. So you, but the discontinuation of the story, or the you know what I mean, like like with this the non-connectivity of
discontinuity.
7, 8, thank you. Yeah, you go. Discontinuity of 7, 8, 9. Because I don't know what 9 is going to do. Apparently, it's going to blow everybody's mind. But so is Batman vs. Superman and all these other movies. So we'll see. But everyone is saying 9 is going to be epic and it's going to tie it all up nice and you're going to be happy. We'll see. 7, I really enjoyed. I know a lot of people complained about it just because it was nothing new and it was just a rehash of A New Hope.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people said.
A lot of people said it.
New Hope being remade.
But to me, after the with the prequels, you had to kind of walk softly. So I got what they were doing, and it really, really did bring a feeling of, oh, Star Wars is back. Okay, so you got that. But then, specifically, Abrams had a storyline that he had written out, like, okay, this is what I would like to see happen, and this is what I'm leading toward. And then that got completely ignored, like, it didn't even get looked at. And that is my problem with either Kathleen Kennedy or whoever at Lucasfilm / Disney said, all right, we're going to go from J.J. Abrams to Rian Johnson. And again, what I said before, I watched Last Jedi a second time. I've caught glimpses of it a third and fourth time. I have not sat through it again. I softened a little bit as far as overall a movie. I enjoy it. As far as a Star Wars movie and the story, I still fucking hate it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't fit in the story, and it seemed like a personal attack on the rest of the shit. So it seemed like, which is something that I straight up rail against as loud as I can on this podcast every time when you get, because it felt like the call out culture in a Star Wars movie. It's, this is what you want and this is wrong. Fuck you. It's not about anything old. It's all about the new shit. And that's what I can't stand about today's society. Is you have no desire to work together. It's, this is what I want, and this is what we're going to do, and it's all about us, and you can all kiss our ass. I just did what you did. Everyone can kiss my ass, right? That's how that movie came about, or came across to me. And it was, again, this is what you're expecting? Nope. This is what you want? Nope. This is what's going to happen? Nope. Everything from a storytelling standpoint pissed me off, right? So I lay that at Kathleen Kennedy's feet because I don't know who else to blame for that, right? I don't 100% blame her because I don't know exactly what role she had in that, right? But I know she was right there going, this is going to be amazing. Well, you're the one that sold me this fucking bill of goods, so guess what? Now I'm throwing the receipt in your face.
Yeah.
They're hoping and praying that everybody buys off on JJ coming back and saving it, and I'm praying too. But, now to your point, you bring in a guy like Kevin Feige. To me, that's exactly what the fuck I've been saying. How long have I been saying that?
No, it is. It's the right move.
In fact, I literally, at least, I can count on probably both hands, at a minimum, how many times in this room, sitting here with you two, I've literally said the words, they need a Kevin Feige.
Yep.
I've said that about Star Wars, and I've said that about DCU.
Yep.
They literally have Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
So shut the fuck up and let him do what he
does. And people
does.
are still mad about it, though.
I
and
know.
that's the thing. Like, Star Wars
Nobody's
fans
fucking happy.
are just, I don't know what to say about them.
They're the most combustible. I heard a good description of them, and I laughed my ass off when I heard it, and then I cannot, because I'm one of them, but I heard this really good.
I'm with you.
Volatile.
Yeah.
Volatile.
I didn't like The Force Awakens. I really didn't like it that much. I felt like it was not just a rehash, but then they were trying to it almost felt like it was a reboot and we need to stick a female lead into it. That's how I felt about it.
I get that, but I thought I saw enough of what JJ was pushing toward. Like, I was already envisioning, we had this discussion before, I was envisioning what 8 and 9 were going to tell you, and it was going to give you a reason why she was there, what happened with the fall of the Academy, even why the Falcon was on that planet with her. We walked through all that shit. I walked everybody through my hash of that. And I thought by the end of the trilogy, it was going to make a really good story. But they didn't get there. So
No.
But yeah, I get that argument that it was because
But
especially at this point, she's very much a Mary Sue.
yeah. But I don't hate the franchise for it though. Like,
no, I still love Star Wars. Like
it's
the
fine.
Mandalorian has me,
Right?
and it could suck.
It
could suck.
I am more excited about the Mandalorian and the Kenobi series, which I don't even know when it's coming out because it's so far in the
it's like 2
future,
years
than
now, yeah.
than I am for Episode 9. But
Me too. Same
I'm
here.
still a fan, and I would still go back and watch the old movies. And I was flying United last weekend or whatever, and they have every fucking Star Wars movie on there. I'm like, oh my god, this is great.
Yep.
All of them from the originals.
It's funny too because like the older I get, the less I hate the prequels. I never really, I never got the hate for them like other people did.
I didn't either.
I understood the issues with them, but I chalked most of that up to George Lucas was directing them when before he had other people directing them. He could tell a story. He could weave this thought like, oh, this is what we're going to do. And then have other people direct it and other people kind of rewrite what he did. And then they make a really good Star Wars New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. When it came to the prequels, it was George he wants all this, and nobody told him no at all, ever. So that was, I get that. So taking that into consideration, like there was a lot of people, other directors could have gotten a lot much more. Woo! They could have gotten a lot more out of
a lot much more.
A lot much more. Could have gotten a lot much more out of those actors. You're talking fucking Liam Neeson and Padme. What's her face?
Natalie Portman.
Really? I've seen her in awesome roles. And she seemed like stiff as a board, So, yeah, there's a lot of shit in there that I lay at George's feet, and I'm sorry, that was your fault, dude.
There's a handful of things, but if I look back,
I like them.
Yeah, I really don't dislike them. The only thing I'm going to say I'm mad about, the only thing that was just annoying and I wish they would have done different is one, Hayden Christensen, fuck him.
Yeah. Now I have seen him
like
in one or two
his
things.
like whiny teenage sort of. I fucking hated it.
I think half of that though was Lucas.
Yeah, it might have been. I don't know.
Yeah, and again, but I don't. Yeah,
I
agree with you. He was one of my biggest problems with it.
Like this guy's gonna become Vader for Christ's sake. He's not a fucking whiny teenager, and they don't even portray him that way in like the Clone Wars series. Like it's not even like that.
No, and the comic Vader. Oh my god, that's amazing. Amazing book.
It was really just that attitude was exclusive to the first couple movies. No, actually, not even the first couple. It was not like that in TPM. It was only Revenge of the Sith and Attack of the Clones that were like that. But
so
annoying.
So moving away from the prequels, I would say but basically my point was I don't hate them nowhere near as much as anybody else, but I don't dislike them as much as I did in the past. The more I watch them, the more I'm like, I'm good with them.
Jar Jar comic relief is the other thing that I'll cry about, but it just wasn't necessary.
Misa want nobody to listen to this podcast. Jesus Christ. Thanks. Now, going just back to what we're looking forward to.
Yeah.
I'm praying to God 9 is at least a good closeout. I've heard really good things about it.
Yeah.
We shall see. Everybody choose their own horn right before it comes out.
So I was having this conversation the other day on a Star Wars fan board or something, and people were saying, she could be related to Kenobi, or maybe she's got some connection to Palpatine. Like, just all these theories, right? And I think I've said this before, but for me, I wish she would just be nobody.
That's what they were pushing with Rian Johnson.
Right? Like, okay, so anyway, they've made this about legacy up to this point, like genetic legacy or whatever, the Skywalker line is like the only line that has like the super force powers. Now, if you were to follow all, the whole storyline, it's not supposed to be that way, right? There's prophecy, sure, but that's not really what it's about, because there's a whole world and the midichlorians, if you want to take it that way, or the Force if you just want to ignore that. that piece of the canon that was put in there. But
Thanks, George.
It interlinks everything, right? It's life and everything together. It's all the different planets. So to have this like about this one family, it's cool. It's cool for a storyline. I want them to end it, and I want there to be other things that don't have to do with the Skywalkers. And when I say end it, I mean end it. Like, I want to see Ben Solo die.
Everybody dies.
I want to see Ben Solo die, and I want to see him die in a way where it's self-sacrificial, just like Vader, just like Luke.
Sure.
Let the family line end, and let what they've done, which is all of them,
carry on.
And but all of them in different ways between Anakin and Luke and I guess Kylo now have all been on the light side, flirted with the dark side, flipped back, and every one of them basically dies in an act of self-sacrifice or whatever, right? And then that, I feel like, could be Skywalker could be the idea that becomes the new Jedi Order, where, you know, you don't have to be light or dark necessarily, but there's a way you want to live, and you could go a little bit of that. It's a gray Jedi sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna. All right. I'm gonna agree with you and disagree with you at the same time.
Okay.
Because this is what I'm good at. And this is off the cuff. This you brought it up, and we haven't really. Typically, at least we make a vague show note thing. We haven't done anything on this one at all. So we're just going off of memory. So it's gonna sound stupid. I'm gonna be disjointed like I am now. But to go to your point, the original idea of the name Skywalker, that's what that was. It wasn't Luke. It was the Skywalkers were basically the Grey Jedi. They were this thing. They were just like this. It was a cult kind of, not a cult, but a belief, right?
Well, the Jedi Order was effectively a religion for all intents and purposes,
and that's what the Skywalkers were as well. But they were more of your Grey Jedi, like you're talking about. And it's back there in George's notes, right? He eventually changed the name from Star Killer to Skywalker. That's where he incorporated the Skywalker, right? But that also goes back into like when he was talking about like the Book of the Wills that's finally popped up now. There's some weird shit with the Wills that's like some other shit. Not quite midichlorians, but along that line.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. But so you take the good with the bad. But the Skywalkers were that. Now, to argue your other point of the fact that this story is about this one family, yes and no to me. Like, if you go back, if you look at the prequels, they do show the rest of the Jedi Order, because everyone always says this story is about the Skywalkers. Well, yes, but on one hand, you do see like it's not only the Skywalkers that are Force users, right? You see these other Jedi, but any story that we watch, any story, is about a particular set of characters, right? So this particular story revolves around mainly the Skywalkers. So while I get the argument against that, to make a cohesive story and to make a really good story, when they were setting up the Episode 7 and what I thought they were trying to set up later, it would have been it would have ended, I think, the way you want it, but where you want Rey to be nobody. I think the way they were setting it up, I think she was going to be Luke's daughter, and possibly Obi-Wan's granddaughter, like we talked about before. But then at the end of the day, maybe she would be the only one out of the entire family to walk away from it. But the Jedi Order would have been over, and it would have gone on to other stories. Either way, this is the end of the Skywalker saga. That's confirmed. But
is it though?
That's what they've said. Because
they can fuck this all up. Because they can have Ben Solo turn to the light side, and that can be the rise of the Skywalker, where the family line is coming back through Leia's kid.
Could be. It could
right?
be.
They could do something stupid.
It could be.
And then they could try to continue it on through 10, 11, 12 or some shit, you know?
Yeah, and I don't know. Who knows? Because, again, you're also talking about going back to the conglomerate who, okay, we want to make money. So they're going to look at how are we going to make money.
I hope that's not what they think, though.
I think they can end it.
They should
nicely.
end it.
Yeah.
Because they have a million different pieces of content to draw from, particularly out of Legends. But they could do Thrawn. They could do Revan and Malak, which would be great. Old Republic story that has nothing really to do with the new stuff, but...
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and I agree with you. And I hope that they really start to explore that. At least they look like they're dabbling in that a little bit with the Disney Plus. So I hope in the movies they start to get to that. And we're going to get to the Disney Plus shit here too, because I want to talk about Obi-Wan. But so shelving what we hope for this episode 9, I agree with you, but I disagree with you at the same point. I get your argument for what the story should be or is, but at the same time, I also I see every story as that. It's fine tuned, it's niche, and then it kind of expands at the same time. It's kind of weird, but branching on to what you just said about the expanded universe, that is a perfect segue into the last rumor that I heard.
Okay.
Some of the expanded shit that deals with maybe one is with the dark side and the clones. Remember the Emperor and his clones? Right?
Yeah, he made a bunch of clones, which was what he was using.
Supposedly he's going to be trying to come back as a clone.
Yep.
Something else I heard.
Oh, God. I heard it. Sorry, not to interrupt you, but I heard a stupid thing that Rey was a clone.
Well, yeah, that's what that shot of her with the red lightsaber and like her hair looks like it's almost gone, like she's bald or whatever. She's either possessed or a clone, right? Which would turn Kylo good or whatever. The other thing I heard, and this actually, it makes sense in a way too, but it goes back to the rule of 2 for the Sith, right? Mm-hmm. That while they say it's a rule of 2, it's not as honest as it sounds, right? So like what they're doing is basically like, say, Emperor Palpatine, when he took Anakin under as Darth Vader, right? What he's doing, and it's going to play into the rest of this new movie, is as he's grooming Anakin into this huge dark side wielder, right? He's teaching him all of this shit, and then he is going to possess that body. So he lives on in Darth Vader, and then Darth Vader takes on an apprentice, and it's an endless cycle. So the rule of 2 is actually, like when they say, whoever Plagueis the Wise or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Was able to beat death. He didn't. He would just transfer his consciousness into other bodies. Sidious, Emperor Palpatine, was planning to do the same thing with Vader. Obi-Wan fucked that all up by cutting him in pieces, right? Dropping him off at the butcher. So he waited, and then because he couldn't do anything with the body, he was like, "Oh fuck!" I'm not going to put myself in that body. I'm going to wait. And then he grew older and older, then realized, oh, he's got kids. So then that goes to where Vader was trying to encourage Luke to join him or strike me down or whatever, but the Emperor wanted Luke to kill Vader, and then he was going to take Luke's body over. It was kind of like a possession thing, right? It was basically what the theory was. So then I guess he wanted Luke. He kind of left Leia alone because he didn't want to be a girl. He wanted to be Luke, And now it's Rey is the next one in line because he was trying with Kylo, but now he's looking for Rey because she's more powerful or whatever. And I don't know.
I hope not.
I seriously hope not. But but it also kind of makes sense too. Again, a lot of these theories again, I go back to these people have way too much fucking time on their hands to sit down and be like, well, this fits here, and this is how I come up with this. And while you sit there and you look, you go, holy shit, wow, that's cool. Man, it's lazy story writing, though. So I hope it's not. I hope episode 9 is really cool, but that was just something I heard, and I had to get that out there because I heard it on another podcast. And, small shout out to the Super Live Adventure podcast. Those guys are awesome. They're from Staten Island, too. And they do an awesome job. They're like what we strive to try to do. They got a lot of fans listening to them. They're good. But, so that was that one. They were talking about that. I laughed. I was like, I got to mention this on our podcast. Next one I just want to move on to.
So, well, before we close this out, Feige had mentioned after he was announced or whatever that he had a particular actor from the MCU in mind to be in his Star Wars.
And the internet
flick.
lost their shit again.
And once again, yes. And what I have seen most of is Brie Larson. And the reason people have attached to this is because she was invited to the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge California opening. She wasn't the only actor invited to that.
Right. Yeah.
But she was invited to it, and she's admitted being a Star Wars fan. So everybody,
she's a fan.
Yeah.
And all the nerds automatically put it together that Kevin Feige mentioned this.
Yep.
And here's my thing. So what?
Well, yeah, and it depends on what they're going to do. I've heard really dumb stuff like she could be Revan from the Legends in a new movie. Like, come on, nobody's going to do that. Come on, no, they're not going to do that anyway. But there's female characters she could play.
She's going to be a reincarnated Yoda.
Oh God,
you're welcome.
They just come up with the dumbest ideas though, and they don't even know that it's Brie Larson. But then she fueled the fire the other day on Twitter.
Of course she did.
Yeah, because she put up a picture of herself in a fucking Jedi robe with a lightsaber and said something like, "Did somebody say Star Wars?"
Yeah.
Oh my God, you just want people to be irritated, don't you?
She does, and that's see again. I didn't have a problem with her as Captain Marvel. We had this whole discussion where did I think she was great? Yeah, I thought the movie was cool. I don't think she wasn't like Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She wasn't that good, but she was good. I enjoyed the movie, but she brings it all on herself because. Again, you know what? Not to get political, but as much as I can't stand certain people tweeting all goddamn day,
no, she's pretty extreme.
She's the same one.
So
I'm saying, I don't want to hear from my politicians. I don't want to hear from my fucking actors either. She's constantly just looking for a fight. That's her problem. She's looking for a fight. She's part of that call-out culture that I can't stand. Oh, you don't like this? Now I'm going to do this just to piss you off. Yeah. So they do it all the time. And I can't stand when she does that shit. I don't remember much else I've seen her in because she gained notoriety with all this shit from Captain Marvel on. But, I don't remember what else she's been in. You can look it up.
She was in something.
I know. I recognize her
Captain
name.
Marvel.
Yeah, because I kept mixing her name up with Alison Brie. But I know Brie Larson. I know they're two different people. But I know I've seen her and she's fine, but just... Come on, you don't have to be an antagonist asshole, and that's what she is.
Sometimes, yeah. She was in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. She was in Kong Skull Island. That's probably what you saw.
Yes, yeah, she was good in that. And here, you know why? Because nobody was going after her character in Kong Skull Island, so she had nothing to say.
Yeah.
And so sometimes she's an antagonist asshole. No, most times she's a fucking antagonist asshole. I can't stand that out of anybody, celebrity or not. Not everything has to be a fucking fight. How about we just all enjoy it for a little while? Holy shit. Imagine that. I would have no problem with her being in Star Wars. I know you brought up the point, kind of defending some of the people who were naysaying about it. I don't want a whole bunch of Marvel characters just jumping in there just because Kevin Feige's in there.
Yeah.
But that's not, I don't think that's what it's going to be.
It's not even gender bending, it's character bending for a lot of these people. Like,
sure.
They couldn't act out certain characters. You know what I mean? It's just like you're going to be building a character around the actor rather than.
But if he is speaking of her, right? Let's say he is speaking of her, and they found a role that she could play perfectly fine. I have no problem with that shit. It's like when everyone's complaining about, oh my god, Marvel characters in here. I'm like, hello, Samuel L. Jackson, Mace Windu, one of the most popular Jedis in the fucking world.
We could have saved him with the rainbow.
See. Just saying, it's fucking, your argument's invalid too, but it's just, I don't know, all this antagonist bullshit is a pain in the ass. But so on that note, I don't know who he's thinking about, but I don't know. I hope it's somebody cool. Still staying on Star Wars because we're never gonna end.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan.
Yep.
Theories. We know it's Ewan McGregor.
Well, so here's a problem with
what
this.
have you read about it?
Honestly, very little. I haven't
me
read
too.
much. But you have one major problem right off the bat, and that's that Ewan McGregor is a real person and he's aged, and he can't go back and play a young Kenobi. No, I guess young Kenobi is relative. He can't play a Kenobi younger than himself in TPM era or whatever.
Right, in the prequels.
Yeah.
But what is he the perfect age for? Tatooine.
Okay, yeah, sure. The whole that would actually be the best piece of him to cover. What the fuck happened to him?
He exiles himself to Tatooine, right? The only other time they've touched on that is in the Rebels cartoon, right? Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert. Sorry, and this is legit because if you haven't seen it, I've barely seen any of these cartoons, but apparently they're epic, and I really need to get off my ass and watch them, or get on my ass and watch them, one or the other. Clone Wars and Rebels, they developed the fact that Darth Maul didn't die.
Fuck Rebels, but Clone Wars.
Well, okay, but Darth Maul didn't die, right? And then in Rebels, he and Obi-Wan face off, and it's an older Obi-Wan, closer to right before you see A New Hope. They face off for the final time. You see some of what's going on with Obi-Wan. Not a whole hell of a lot. You do know that he's fought Darth Maul.
It's Clone Wars.
Was it Clone Wars?
It was Clone Wars. No, it was Clone Wars.
Okay.
The fight scene between Maul and Kenobi's in Clone Wars.
The old one? Because it looked like Kenobi was in the desert on Tatooine. And he's older. He's got gray hair in this shit. Not like... Quite, he's
right.
like
It is Rebels. It is Rebels.
There's a final fight between the two of them.
It was Clone Wars that they established that Maul had come back or didn't die.
Yes, the wound cauterized itself, and he made legs for himself.
Yeah,
yes, they fight.
It was Rebels. They fight, and Obi-Wan kills Maul.
Yes, yes. And so there's a whole thing there. Now there was a whole lot of character development for Maul leading up to that. There's a lot of shit there that was cool. You've barely touched on his time on Tatooine. That was only the briefest glimpse of it, right?
Yeah.
But this movie would go probably just before that, depending on, you have to look at you have to go through all the canon.
25, 30-year time span that they can cover?
Because you either go right before that or right after. But in between 3 and 4, right, you got that gap. Somewhere in there, he fights Maul and Maul dies. Now, at that point, I think Maul is not with the Empire at all. He's not a Sith. He's with the Crimson Dawn, whatever, yada, yada, right? So, you've got Darth Vader running around out there, obviously. Okay? This is where you're going to get that fight between... Because, all right, here.
I'm not sure, though. It's supposed to be an old Kenobi.
No, older than 3.
Yes, yeah.
Older than 3, younger than 4, right? Older than Revenge of the Jedi. Yeah, Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Jedi. Yeah. Revenge of the Sith. Older than Revenge of the Sith, younger than A New Hope. Okay. Now, what you got was, if you just watch him in that chronological order or whatever, you see him fight Anakin on Mustafar, dismember him, leave him for dead. There, he thinks he's dead. He's leaving him there, right? Now, okay, you can argue Force, he didn't feel him die, whatever, blah, blah. But he leaves him for dead. You see them again when you first watch A New Hope, when they face off with each other, where Darth Vader's like, I haven't felt this in so long, and then they face off. Now, they're old and slow, which everybody, after the prequels, especially with everybody flipping around doing whatever, they really wanted to see a good Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fight, right?
Yeah.
The two of them, but at this point, Obi-Wan knows Darth Vader is Anakin.
Right.
Right? Because although he tells Luke the story, then you find out in the next one, well, from a certain point of view, right? So he knew, okay? So I think this is where you may find maybe Vader hunting down remnants of the Jedi, finds his old master. Obi-Wan doesn't know who the fuck he is. Learns who the fuck he is in this fight. But now you're going to have that, like, prequel style or newer movie style fights, the faster fight. Because Vader, like, all right, Rogue One. Vader was tearing shit apart, right? in the New Hope fight, it was very slow, very methodical, which was cool because they were both old, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And it was also, that fight was set before you had anything to compare it to. You know what I mean? So it was just cool. They were fighting with laser swords, and okay.
Swords.
Yeah, and it was very methodical, right? But you can play that into, like, it's the two of them. Maybe they beat the shit out of each other last time, and they kind of slowed down a little bit. Because Vader does fight better against Luke in the next two.
Yeah.
But maybe, Obi-Wan maybe got wounded pretty good in the last fight, and so, like, in A New Hope, he's slower for a reason, But I think in the Obi-Wan series, you're gonna get that. They have to do it. If they really want to, like, get that audience pop, they have to do that fight. Where he learns who Vader is.
They could, but that could be a long ways into the series because
sure.
What happens after Palpatine issues Order 66 could be super interesting. You could follow multiple Jedi, not just Kenobi.
But that could also be its own series too, because this is Kenobi.
Yeah.
So you tell the story of him watching out for Luke, which has been touched on a little bit in the comics too. But you tell the story of him looking out for Luke, and nothing to say that he necessarily stayed on Tatooine that entire 16, 18 fucking years.
Yeah.
However old Luke's supposed to be when he gets picked up by Kenobi in A New Hope. Is he 16, 17, 18?
Is that how old he's supposed to be?
He's a kid. I don't know. But he's referred to as a kid, but I never know how old he's really supposed to be because he's Mark Hamill and he looks like he's 22. So, but again, Beverly Hills 90210. So, he's maybe Beverly Hills 90210 17 and he's like, 25 or alive. I don't know. But whatever age he's supposed to be, however long Kenobi supposedly stayed there because he delivers the baby to Owen and Beru. There's a lot of story to be told there.
Mm-hmm.
You know damn well he didn't necessarily stay on that planet. I mean, if something happened, there's just too much of the Jedi in him, a hero in him, to not at least, yes, his primary mission is to watch out for Luke, and then, okay, let's say something like Vader is coming, and he realizes who Vader is. He ain't gonna let Vader anywhere near that fucking planet, You go somewhere else, who knows what the fucking series could be. But I think at least if you're going to do more than one season, then you end it as a season finale. I think it's only going to be maybe 8 to 10 episodes, and that's going to be it. It's going to be a concrete story, which is...
Oh, and they're going to end it? Oh, I don't know.
Because it's Ewan McGregor. He's...
That's true. That's true, yeah.
While he loves the character and desperately he's wanted to come back for a long time.
No, they'd have to... But, a lot of times they do options
But again,
on
they
those
got that
contracts.
Disney... Yeah, they got that Disney money, too. I don't know.
They'll just say, we're not guaranteeing you money, but if you do come back, we'll pay you this amount. And then they see how the things roll before they, make a commitment.
But you know what? Either way, if they leave it open-ended, but they end the series, or the season, at least, right, with that Kenobi Vader fight, then it still plays into the Vader saying to his henchmen, I feel a presence I haven't felt since, and then nothing. Right?
Yeah.
Because he's talking about Obi-Wan, and then maybe it plays into the Luke shutting himself off from the Force. Maybe Kenobi didn't shut himself off from the Force, but found a way to block himself really well, mask himself really well. Otherwise, they would have found his ass. So maybe they play into that. They play into how he learns how to mask himself from other Force users.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
They end the season with him fighting Vader, and then at least they leave it open for... Probably cat. They leave it open for season 2 to just be... Then it could just be Kenobi versus the Tusken Raiders. I don't know. Whatever it's going to be.
This would piss a lot of people off, but if they do it this way where they tell individual storylines that aren't they're connected to the original films or whatever, but not connected to each other.
But each season is a little bit different.
Ewan McGregor could walk out, or there could not be a season 2, and you could never finish the story, and the rest of the universe wouldn't lose any continuity. Nothing would be wrong because that story wasn't told now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They could just they have to do a story arc per season, but then they can kind of let it go. And I know people will be angry and say, I want to know what happened that whole fucking time frame. But
oh yeah, well, no one's gonna be happy until they have every little detail
exactly.
on a film, and then they're still not gonna be happy.
Yeah,
they're only like 25%.
Like, no, wait a minute, you did it wrong.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. So I think it's gonna be really cool. I think that was all we had for this.
Yeah, that was it. That was the longest Geekly Weekly ever because we got into a Star Wars discussion for half an hour. But
that's all good. Hey, you know what? We're leading into the holiday season. It's Star Wars. You know what? I know you're not going to hear this until we already make a decision. But for the rest of the holiday, Halloween shit, we've got a handful of stuff coming up. Like, we're going to have some fun ranking candy and pitting horror movie characters against each other. A couple things we've got planned. But one thing that I dropped on these two was I want to take a really bad Halloween movie like The Room, or to review like we did The Room and The Disaster Artist. And then immediately a handful of my friends that know we're doing this podcast started like throwing ideas out at us. So I've got a handful of these ideas. Maybe we can like post them on Facebook and the website and see if we can get a vote. I don't know how many of you are actually playing around with the website. Maybe we can get a vote for which one we watch. But we'd have to do it within like the next 2 weeks or so. Because it's going to be a Halloween-themed movie, and it's got to be pretty bad. So if you have not...
bad, really bad.
Yeah, really bad. If you think back to when we did The Room and The Disaster Artist, I pretty much like made these poor bastards watch these two movies. And I said I wanted to kind of, beat them up later in a review, and we did, and it was hands down probably one of the funniest episodes we ever recorded. We were constantly laughing through this whole damn thing. So just to give you guys an idea of what we have, what I sent them was the horrible horror breakdown, and 4 movies I gave them a choice out of, and we can always add another one on there. One was Trolls 2. Ghost Ship, Birdemic, or The Ginger Dead Man. I know for a fact 3 of these are horrendous. I vaguely remember Ghost Ship being really bad too. But yeah, the other 3 are really bad. I'm pulling only because a buddy of mine at work, Josh, wants us to do Birdemic, because he pretty much talked me into it by saying this movie makes The Room look like Citizen Kane. And then we looked at some of the highlights, and I was like, oh yeah, you're right, it does. I forgot about this. I'm kind of leaning toward doing that one, but it might end this podcast. So we shall see. I'm going to try to find a way to get some of you fuckers to vote for it. And if there's no votes within like a week, we'll decide ourselves between the 3 of us. But we'll post something on the website and on Facebook, try to get our next bad review, and we'll see what you guys say. Now that's been the Geekly Weekly, and that's been your little kind of your window into what's coming, and that's all we got. So please hit us up. Let us know what you've been listening to or watching, or what you've been hearing in the realm of the Geek Sphere. And we'll be here again next week when we review the Joker. Joker. Sorry, Joaquin. My bad. Holy shit.
It's not the Joker.
It's not the Joker. Oh my god. It's just Joker. Just introduce me as Joker. All right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that review too. And look forward to our guest host. Hit us up, whatifgeeks.com, whatifgeeks@gmail.com, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and all that happy bullshit. All right, guys. Good night, Tony.
Good night, Mark.